I'm gonna spit some cold hard truth they don't want you to hear right now. They might come for me after this video. Who knows? I gotta keep my eyes peeled, keep my eyes open, because I'm about to spit some cold hard truth that corporate America doesn't want you to hear. I've been in the game, been in the corporate game for like 7, 8 years. Finally escaped the shackles, finally escaped the golden handcuffs that have been tying me down. But I'm gonna spit some facts, some cold hard truth. So get your popcorn, get comfortable, and listen to what I'm about to say. So this is why you should stop working so hard at your 9 to 5 job, because at the end of the day, they don't care about you. You're just a number. You are insignificant in the eyes of the CEO, in the eyes of the company, no matter what, how big, how large the company is, unless your buddy's the CEO or unless you're boys with the CFO or you're high up in the ranks, which I doubt because you're watching a video like this. You are insignificant. You are like a grain of sand, and you have no say, you have no pull within the company. So this will pertain to you. You're just a number clocking in, clocking out every single day. The things that you're doing probably is very insignificant, or it's probably very meaningless, because the meetings you sit in, the spreadsheet you're looking at, the calls you're hopping on, it's just only benefiting the head honchos, the CEOs. And yes, you get a paycheck. Yes, you're getting paid bi-weekly, say every Friday. But are you really living? Or is it really enough to, maybe, yeah, it covers your expenses, but is it really enough to get you wealthy? No. Is it enough to get you by? Yes. Is it enough to have a solid living, have a nice little apartment, and a nice little mortgage? Yes. But are you really going to go to that top 10, 5, 1%? No, you're just going to be another average person going about life with, they have to wait till they're 65. And then once you're 65, 70, maybe you could start living your life a little bit. You get your 2 vacations a year, or your 2 weeks, 14 days of vacation a year. And all the effort, all the hours you're putting in is going towards someone else's dream, going towards someone else's goal. That's the hard truth people don't want to hear, but it is the truth. The CEO doesn't know your name. They don't know who you are. They don't even know you exist. All they know is you're benefiting their bottom line. You're putting more money in their pockets. And old hard fact number 2, the harder you work, the more work you're going to get. So me, coming from the company I was previously working at, I was working initially when I started, I was working about 40 hours a week. Your typical, I was clocking in at 8, leaving at 5, your typical standard corporate job, right? The first 3 weeks or so, I was clocking in at 8, leave like 5:15, 5:30, little extra time here and there. What I noticed as I started to excel, as I started to succeed in my day-to-day, more and more, I got pulled into more meetings. I got pulled into more conversations. I got pulled into different rooms that I thought, okay, this is different. Why am I in this meeting right now? Okay, why am I in this call? Okay, why is they assigning me this? I got more and more responsibility, more and more things on my plate, more and more tasks. And for some people, they're like, oh, that's cool. You're moving up the ranks. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing the third. Spend a year there just doing more and more work, more and more work, more and more work, spending later and later nights, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. nights turn into 7 p.m. nights, 8 a.m. mornings turn into 7 a.m. mornings, 7 a.m. mornings turn into 6:30 a.m. mornings. And then it wasn't only a Monday through Friday, it was now becoming a Monday through Saturday. It was now becoming a Monday through, okay, let's work on the 4th of July. It was now turning eventually to a Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week. Hey, can you log in 3 extra hours to do this? We need you to do that. We need you to do that. And meanwhile, we don't get overtime. I didn't get overtime. Or you do get overtime, but overtime is half of your pay. So you know how most people get time and a half? So say you get 30 an hour, typically, or you would get 45 an hour. So as opposed to me getting that 45 an hour, I get 15 an hour. So in my mind, I'm like, what sense does this make? I'm doing more, taking on more responsibility, and I'm seeking to move up internally. I'm talking to my managers, the team leads, and nothing is happening. I'm just getting more work, not getting compensated for any of this, besides the extra 15 an hour, which is less than what I make clocking in from 8 to 5, which makes absolutely no sense. And when I asked my manager, like, hey, like, I've been here a year now, like, are there any, I was thinking of moving up the ranks. I don't want to be in this position my entire career, is there any talks? Because I am taking on more responsibility. I'm working 50, 60 hours, a little bit more than that. Like, can I at least have the conversation? And he was like, yeah, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. Yeah, I'll get back to you. A couple months go down the line. I gave him my 2 weeks, and I was like, all right, I'm out. I am no longer going to stay. And it wasn't even 2 weeks. I left on a Tuesday, or I gave him my notice on a Tuesday. I left on a Friday because he kept pushing back the meeting, because he kind of knew where my head was at. And that's how you lose good people, right? You don't compensate them for the more responsibility they take on. And I'm not going to spend time making someone else's dream come true because it was taken away from my side hustles that I was working on outside of my 9 to 5. Right? If it wasn't taken away from my outside hustles, my outside work I was doing, working on YouTube, working on trading, working on my editing, then okay, whatever. But it was taking away from time where I'm actually trying to put time into myself, because I'm putting all these hours into the company, making the CEO's dream come true. I was like, okay, let me at least take the hours that I have outside of the 9 to 5. But the hours outside of the 9 to 5 were starting to diminish. It was becoming a 7 to 7. 7 to 7, let me work Monday through Saturday, Monday through Sunday. Let me work on holidays. Let me work on Christmas. Nah, we didn't work on Christmas, but you get the point. This is the biggest one. To move up the ranks in corporate. The only times I've ever moved up in corporate is when I knew someone and when I was buddy-buddy with someone where I wanted to be. It never was from hard work. It never was from taking on more responsibility. It never was from working extra hours. Never. It's always I knew someone in that field, or I knew someone in that department. I had the conversation with them. They connected me with another person. And then I had the interview, aced the interview, golden. It never was how hard you worked. Yes, you need to do the bare minimum. Yes, you need to log in at your mandatory times. But no, you do not need to go above and beyond. No, you do not need to put in 9, 10 hours a day. You do not need to do that. You need to spend that time going to those lunch and learns, going to those happy hours, going to those things they have after work. That's when you're going to move up the ranks. That's where you're going to make these connections, right? Why do people have LinkedIn? Why do they have these parties, these meetings, these things outside of work? To get to know people, so you could fucking pull on their slong, so you could fucking move on up the ranks. That's all it is you're just brown-nosing people to move up the ranks. It's unfortunate. That's how I got a couple of the jobs I've gotten, because I knew someone that happened to work there, that happened to be a friend. I got the interview, and that's all she wrote. It never was how hard I worked. Yes, you need to do the bare minimum. Yes, you need to have a decent resume. But if someone puts a good word for you, or if you know someone, or if your uncle's this and your uncle's the CEO of the fucking whatever company, you have a 95% better chance of moving up or going to a certain department than the person who works the 60, 50 hours weeks, who's head down into the work, right? Because if you're able to socialize, if you're able to network, if you have the social skills to talk to people, you're gonna have a way better chance of moving up. It sucks that that's how it is, but the harder you work, as I mentioned aforementioned earlier on, is just gonna give you more work. to actually move up the ranks, you need to kiss ass, essentially. You need to dick ride, like, for lack of a better term. You need to be on their meat so they notice you. So they're like, oh, in their mind, they're like, hey, we actually have a opening. Oh, I remember Zaire. We chat about the Yankees, or we went to the Yankee game, or he was in that lunch and learn where we chopped it up for a little bit. Yeah. So when I put in that application, or when I put in the good word with that person who I spoke with the one time or the two times, they'll remember me as opposed to the person who looks good on paper, because they actually met me already. They already know what I'm about, or not know what I'm about, but they had the conversation with me. So I'm like the first person that comes to their mind. Moral of the story: in order to succeed in corporate, you need to brown nose. You need to meat ride. It's the cold hard truth. It sucks, but that's what you need to do. The harder you work doesn't necessarily correlate to moving up the ranks. And stop working so hard at your job. Get to know people, network. That's kind of why I left the corporate life, because I hated sucking other people off just to move up or just to have the conversation. I hated the fake laughs, the fake fucking giggles, the fake oh. I hated all that. I hated the putting on the facade. I hated doing all that. I wanted to use that corporate job to fund my 9 to 5, or use that corporate job to fund my dreams outside of my 9 to 5. 9 to 5 corporate was never for me. I thought it was going out of college into the real world. But as I spent my time in corporate for 7 years, 8 years, I realized that's not it. That's not the life I want to live. I want the life of autonomy. I want the life of not having to someone over my shoulder when I could take a shit, when I could take a piss. I hate trying to please other people. And you just put on a whole different personality. You're not yourself. You're just someone. You create a person that you don't want to be, but it's the person you need to create in order to move up the ranks. And that's just not for me. It's for a lot of people. I had a 6-figure job, quit that, but it's just not for me. So take what you must with this video, whatever insight you get, but corporate lifestyle is not for me. I would just say use that corporate lifestyle to fund your dreams, work on your side hustle outside your 9 to 5. But if you're someone like me, then you know where I'm coming from, because then that 9 to 5, that corporate, shit not it, kid. It's not it.